in her career. And Jerry and Ann Moss, her owners, and John Sheriffs, her trainer, are now going to take the big challenge. A challenge that was once again, as you see these pictures live here. Zenyatta, look what she's doing with her front right there, Randy. This is patented Zenyatta, and we'll talk about this a little later on, these dance moves that she goes through.
The first time I saw Zenyatta, I had no idea that she had a routine like this. And quite frankly, when you watch a lot of horses, you see this, you become alarmed. If you don't know what's going on, you think something's wrong, and then you realize this is her normal gig.
We're not the only ones curious as to what's going on with Zenyatta, as her jockey Mike Smith is watching his favorite here. And Mike, in just a few minutes, will head out there to the paddock and take a leg up in those traditional silks with the pink bow tie of Jerry and Ann Moss. Well, this is the moment that the whole horse racing season comes down to. Joe Tessitore alongside Randy Moss, Jerry Bailey, the Hall of Fame jockey, and our European expert, Nick Luck. It's been noticed everything about her, and we just noticed moments ago her distinct moves, her little dance moves with her front legs, as if she knew a few dance steps. Could it be Zenyatta, queen of the ballroom as well?
Zenyatta, you know she's going to have rhythm. Her owner discovered the police. Look at her mane, the way it flows. Look at that sensual swish of the tail. Beautiful hoofwork throughout. Great horse. You know what's happening here. She's trying to attract those male horses, the same as we see on the dance show. Those girls come out shaking it and baking it, and those boys come at them. Zenyatta, you make those other horses look as though they've got 4 left hooves. Your mark from Len? Got to be a 10.
She does have those.
For 13 consecutive races, the undefeated Zenyatta has gradually but emphatically staked a legitimate claim to being called one of the greatest female racehorses in history. Today she is racing's Queen of the West, the reigning mistress of the Breeders' Cup. A natural force whose legend is rooted in her will as a competitor, her consistency as the winner of 7 Grade 1 stakes, and her surpassing gifts of stamina and speed. A giant of her species, she stands 68 inches from ground to withers, and even in a walk, she exudes a sense of rippling power, the way she bows her neck and paws at the ground, as though eager to get it on. And once she does at the turn for home, there's nothing like the sight of her as Mike Smith swings her to the outside, the signal to go, and she begins to pour it on, charging down the middle of the track with giant strides, mane flying as she lopes past her foes, usually winning off by herself. In the oldest game in town, Zenyatta's an original.
Let's bring in our Hall of Fame jockey Jerry Bailey, who 5 times has won this Breeders' Cup. Bill Knack raised an interesting point there. She is a female horse, but she is bigger than many of her male counterparts.
Yes, and talking to Mike Smith, I asked him a little bit about her personality. He said, Jerry, I've got to be careful that she doesn't muscle these other horses around too much. There was a race last year where he had to push out a little bit because a male horse was pushing her in, and she knocked him 3 paths out. He said, so she's tough. She loves contact. I just got to be careful she doesn't overdo it.
We will be with you commercial free throughout this lead up to the Classic and right through the celebration. Earlier, Janine was able to catch up with Zenyatta's trainer, John Sheriffs.
Well, Jerry Moss and his wife, Ann, and
her connections, the Jacksons have run a tremendously courageous campaign. She's come through like a real champion. I've got nothing to say against her, you know, and
but what if you win
she's
the Classic?
amazing. Well, if we win the Classic, that's for, again, somebody else to decide. I mean, either way, if we win the Classic, we win, you know, and whatever happens after that is fine with me, you know.
Tell us what it's like to own an individual that has captured the imagination of the public the way this filly has.
It's just been a joy, I'd like to say, from the time we met her when she was a yearling. David and Gordo showed her to us, and We liked the sire. We liked the broodmare. We liked her tremendously. She was an imposing filly at the time. And quite honestly, we would have did obviously more than we got her for a very modest price. 60,000 is well known. And boy, has she given us a thrill. So many thrills for that investment. I can't even begin to describe it.
She's given a lot of us thrills, and we'll look forward to another one today. Joe?
That was owner Jerry Moss, swapped out for John Sheriffs there in that interview. So as we take a look here at Zenyatta in the paddock stalls, once again, the size of Zenyatta. There's Mind That Bird, Jer.
She just towers over him. I mentioned a minute ago about Mike telling me the story. It was
bigger than Secretariat.
It was a female horse that she was muscling out, not a male horse. But she is bigger than a lot of these horses.
As John Gruden would say, Jaws, she's a beast.
She is a beast, and she's undefeated and trying to stay that way here today in the $5 Million Classic.
Many big horses have soundness issues because they have such a big frame to carry on their legs. They have issues with tendons and so forth. They've done a great job keeping her till she's 5 and keeping her at the top of her game, I think.
Zenyatta. How's she acting to you, Jer?
I think she's acting just about like she normally does. She knows it's a big moment, and she's a show-off. She's a ham.
I've never seen a horse strut around the paddock like she does. That's really remarkable. It's entertaining.
Calvin Burrell sing her way to the racetrack. It is time for the call to the post for the Breeders' Cup Classic. With Pat Day on Wild again, and that strut of hers. The uniqueness of Zenyatta as the Derby winner will lead us off.
Only the 4th filly ever to try to win the Classic. None have won. Jolifa in 1992 finished 3rd. That's the best finish for a female. Azeri and Triptych also tried and finished out of the money.
And look at the reception by the fans along the apron there. As you could see, the flash bulbs going off and the girl power signs up. The 5 is twice over and twice.
25 times since its inception in 1984, but no renewal of this climactic event has so stoked the competitive fires of this sport like today's. For here this afternoon, the unbeaten Zenyatta will put her streak on the line against a field of robust males in a contest never won by a female. Facing a band led by America's Summer Bird and Gio Ponti. Zenyatta has never run 1.25 miles, and she has spent her whole career whipping on other females. Zenyatta! Which has raised 2 questions that trail her like a cape. How really good is she? And how would she fare when she met a large herd of young studs and geldings? Today she'll feel more pressure than she ever has, with some of the world's fastest and strongest males asking her what she's got. And in the end, as they wheel into Heartbreak Alley off the final bend, she will finally reveal just how good she is.
Venerable.
In the Ladies Classic, she broke slow as she usually does. She's been as close as 2 lengths to the lead going by the stands the first time, as far back as 14. But in this particular race, she lags the field. She is last. She's about 9 lengths or so from the front pace setter. Now, she can do that. Where she is front to back will depend on the pace. In the Ladies Classic, she was able to circle the field. She was good enough to go 7 wide, 8 wide in this particular case and still overpower her competition, but that was the females. That was in the Ladies Classic. Today, she's running against the males. Can she be this far away from the rail, lose this many lengths? 9 paths? I think not. I don't really think she's going to be on the rail saving all the ground because there's going to be a lot of traffic. But maybe splitting the difference, being 3, 4, 5 lengths off the rail will get the job done today. It's hard for me to believe that she can circle them and beat the males.
And the man who will be up on board with that task, of course, is Mike Smith.